Right now I am filming on the Mission 1 Pro, and this audio is with the default stock settings when you first power on the camera. So I've not changed any settings on here. This is the audio as you would get it when you unbox the camera. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do several different scenarios where I change a setting on this camera, and you can hear if the audio sounds better, if it sounds worse. So let's get out of the sun here and let's get into the woods. So this is what the default audio settings sound like when you're behind the camera. And we're going to change some audio settings to see how it sounds when I change them. So first of all, these are the default settings right here. And then if we go down here to the audio preferences, we've got a couple settings that we can change. One of them is we can turn the raw audio track on. And when we do that, we can change it to 32-bit float or 24-bit PCM. So I am going to change this to 32-bit float. And we're going to do our next clip with 32-bit float so you can see how that sounds. All right, so this is the audio track with 32-bit float. So I'm really curious how this sounds compared to that prior track without 32-bit float. 32-bit float basically gives you audio that theoretically should not clip at all. If you had a moment that was really loud, your 32-bit float should be fine. It should preserve that without clipping and getting too loud and terrible sounding on you. These woods are really dark here. I'm curious visually how this camera's doing as well. It's a thick shade canopy, isn't it? All right, next setting we're gonna change here. We're gonna go into the video settings, and we're gonna go all the way down here to the audio tab. Now right now, audio tuning is set to standard, but we can do standard or voice. Let's select voice and see how voice sounds. Theoretically, that is supposed to enhance the voice. So with the voice enhancement on, I'm gonna start off talking behind the camera, just so we can hear what that one mic sounds at the back, and then I'm gonna pivot it around here in a moment. Now in general, if you're gonna be vlogging, this is the mode I would recommend using because it should do a good job on really bringing out the details of your voice. And that's obviously what you want if you're doing a lot of talking to the camera. We're gonna turn it around here and see how it sounds on the front with the voice turned on. I, of course, will find out all of this when I get back to the studio and listen to these clips. So a lot of this is just gonna be for you to hear if this camera performs well enough that you can get usable audio out of it without needing external mics or other expensive audio equipment. So right now, wind reduction is set to auto, and this isn't really the best place to test that because it's not windy right now. We've got a little bit of a stream here. I'm gonna set that to wind reduction off to see if that makes a difference. All right, so this is with the wind reduction off. Now we do have the ambient sound of a stream in the background here. I am going to go to a waterfall in a moment. That's gonna be a lot louder. And that's gonna be a good place where we can really test how much effect that wind reduction has. But in general, if you don't have a lot of background noise or wind, I personally like to keep wind reduction off. That's what I've done on most of my cameras, because sometimes having that wind reduction on, it can do weird things with the audio from my experience. So wind reduction off is generally what I recommend, but we will see how it sounds on the Mission 1 Pro between the two different modes. But there's one other mode I want to try before I get to the waterfall. And here's what we're going to do. So we're going to swipe down, we're going to swipe over, we're going to click connect device, and then we're going to click the Bluetooth connectivity on the microphone here. And then if you keep an eye on the screen, we're going to see it searching, and it's going to find our mic. So we're going to click on that, and it's going to connect it. All right, so this is with the audio out of the Bluetooth mic, and this is via a Bluetooth connection. So I'm not expecting this to sound incredible. I'm expecting it to kind of sound a little bit flat and not very rich in tone. However, if you have a wireless mic like the DJI Mic 3, you can record audio internally to that mic, and you can then synchronize it later on. It is a pain because you're gonna have to do that for each and every clip. However, the DJI Mic 3, it will record a 32-bit internal file, and that can sound really good. So if you have something where you're doing like a long continuous clip and you're talking to it, that's actually not a bad idea for that, and that's what I would recommend. And it is worth noting, when you have a Bluetooth mic connected, you can get 2 audio tracks. So right now, one of those tracks is going to be recorded separately from the Bluetooth connection. That's going to actually be the main track, but there is going to be a secondary track. So if you connect a mic via Bluetooth and you don't like how it sounds, or something happens with that connection, you can still have the other track with the built-in mics on your camera record. So that's a nice feature. You've got a backup there. But it is also worth noting that GoPro does have its own wireless mic system and a brand new media mod coming for the Mission 1 Pro. It just says coming soon. So obviously I can't test those right now. I don't have those, but I imagine both of those are going to help you get even better audio with this camera. But the question that I have is it going to be worth the cost? And if you're like me, I don't like to have a lot of extra things connected to my action camera because, first of all, it makes it no longer waterproof. So if I was to drop it into this pond right here, that's pretty much it. And then secondly, it costs a lot. The wireless mic kit at this point, I believe GoPro is going to ask about $150 for it for the entire kit. And then an individual transmitter looks like it's going to be about $39. If that's the case, that is pretty competitive price-wise, as long as it offers similar or better features to the competition. But then the media mod, I believe, is going to be over $100 just for the media mod. And in order to get all of the features out of that mic, you may have to have the media mod as well. So that is going to be something interesting to look at when that comes out. See how well it does picking up on all the bullfrog chorus right now. All right, so we've got the wind reduction mode back on, and even when I am talking, you can probably hear that very loud waterfall. So we're walking down the steps to get close to it. All right, so there it is. We made it down and I'm standing behind the camera talking to see how this sounds. And I'm gonna get down even closer and turn it the other way so that we can see how it does with the front mic. Gonna come around here so I have this front mic pointing at both myself and the waterfall. So I'm curious how it sounds right now because that waterfall is very loud. It's very loud around me. And I'm gonna put this to the non-wind reduction mode in a moment. I'm gonna turn it off entirely so you can hear how that sounds. All right, so we're gonna put the wind reduction from auto to off. So wind reduction is now off. All right, so this is with the wind reduction completely off. And I'm standing behind the camera talking to it just to see how that sounds. And we're gonna rotate around again here. And this is how it sounds with wind reduction fully off. Me talking to it and that very loud waterfall right behind me. I will be curious to see how this sounds. And let's take a walk over here really quick before we wrap this up.
Oh, like this?
Yeah, let's take a look down here at the stream. I mean, look, there's like a little bridge across here. We gotta walk on that. Maybe. There's some deep, murky water there. Oh yeah, there's a lot of bubbles on the stream. All right, it is dark down here.
Hey, could I try to walk on that there?
Definitely. Yep, just get each stone. I think all these gaps are of the size that you can get across all of them too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is fun. All right, it's gonna be a bigger hop. What do you think? Can you do it?
Maybe.
Maybe. I think you can do it. You got it. Good job. All right, I think we'll stop right here.
I have to jump.
You did have to jump. All right, I'll get back past you. And this one will be a little bit of a jump up to do that. Do you need a hand? Are you good? Oh, look at that. You didn't need a hand at all. All right, we're gonna hop back over these. Saw a little fish down in there. Just saw a little one, about 3 inches. So that concludes the audio test. And if you'd like to learn more about how to get the very best from the GoPro Mission 1 Pro, check out this playlist right here. Making the climb back up out of here. Beautiful evening.